So the car is becoming more of a platform, a device on wheels, ready for software upgrades. Sacrifice the seat comfort today to ensure the potential for that high-margin FSD subscription tomorrow.
That's exactly how it looks. They're protecting the future revenue stream potential.
Welcome back to the Deep Dive. Today, we're diving into something pretty significant. Tesla's launch of these new, supposedly affordable Model 3 and Model Y versions.
Right, a big move. And you, our listeners, sent over the sources detailing the prices, the features, or lack thereof, and really the big question we need to tackle.
Exactly. So our mission today, Tesla finally got these cars under that magic US $40,000 mark, but the sources say the cuts weren't maybe as deep as hoped.
And crucially, with the U.S. EV tax incentives now gone, are these cheaper models actually a better deal for you than the older ones were with the credits? That's the core issue.
It really is, that promise versus the financial reality for the buyer. Okay, let's get the numbers out first. What are the official sticker prices they announced, I think, via X?
They did. So the Model 3 standard sedan starts at US $36,990.
Okay, under $37K.
And the Model Y standard SUV, that one comes in at US $39,990. So yeah, both just squeaking under that $40,000 line. Looks good on paper.
Definitely looks good. Psychologically important numbers.
Yeah.
But how much cheaper is that really compared to, say, the previous base rear-wheel drive models?
Good question. So the Model 3 Standard, the sedan, it's about 14% lower than the old RWD Model 3 price in the U.S.
14%.
Okay, and the Y. The Model Y Standard SUV is 11% down from the previous RWD Model Y price.
11%. So decent chunks, but like you said, maybe not the massive slash some were expecting.
Exactly. The sources pointed that out, not the 20 or 30% drop people were maybe hoping for. More strategic cuts.
Which brings us straight to the heart of it, the thing you asked us to figure out, this incentive paradox. 11 to 14% off the sticker price.
Sure.
But how does that stack up now that those big U.S. federal incentives are just gone?
Yeah, this is where it gets tricky and honestly a bit counterintuitive. The sticker price goes down, but what you actually pay, that's the kicker. The sources are pretty clear. Once you factor in the removal of those EV incentives, these new standard models actually end up costing the buyer more out of pocket than the old base models did with the incentives applied.
Okay, hang on. That's the aha moment right there. A cheaper sticker price leads to a more expensive purchase. Let's break that down simply. How does that work?
Think of it like this, okay? The old Model 3 RWD might have had a sticker of, say, $45,000, but you got that $7,500 federal tax credit, right?
Effectively bringing your cost down to $37,500.
Yes, exactly. Now this new cheaper one comes out, sticker price, $36,990, looks great, lower number.
Lower by over $8,000 on the sticker.
But that $7,500 credit, it's gone. Poof. So your actual out-of-pocket cost is now $36,990.
Which is actually slightly more than the $37,500 effective price you might have paid for the more expensive older model. Wow. That just underscores how much government policy was shaping the real cost for EV adoption, doesn't it?
Yeah.
It wasn't just Tesla's pricing.
Absolutely. And, just as a side note, this fits into the bigger picture. Tesla ditched that old promise of a super cheap $25,000 EV ages ago. Their focus shifted, clearly, towards optimizing costs for now, but really doubling down on the software side, the autonomous driving tech. That seems to be the long game.
Okay, so if the price cut was only 11–14% and it wasn't enough to cover that lost incentive, how did they manage that 11–14% reduction? Where did the savings come from? What did they actually cut?
This is where you see the, let's call it feature optimization, or maybe austerity. They really targeted the interior comfort and luxury feature.
Okay, let's get specific. What's gone? What's downgraded inside these new standard models?
Well, first up, the seats. Instead of the usual softer, maybe synthetic leather materials, you're getting textile upholstery. Fabric seats.
Fabric seats. Okay. What else?
And this one's a bit of a shocker, maybe. Manual seat adjustments.
Wait, manual seats? As in levers and stuff, not the power seats.
Yep. No more powered motorized adjustments like even the previous base models had. Big cost save there, presumably.
Wow. Okay, manual seats in a nearly $37,000 car. That definitely shifts the perception from, like, entry-level premium to something more basic, doesn't it?
It really does. It's a calculated bet, I suppose, that people want the badge and the tech more than the plush interior. Then there's the audio system scaled back to just a 7-speaker setup.
Less immersive sound, then.
Probably. And perhaps the most noticeable change inside for passengers. The rear screen is completely gone.
No rear screen at all. That little display for climate and stuff, the back passengers.
Nope. Removed entirely in these standard variants. Definitely draws a clearer line between this and the higher trims.
Yeah, that's a significant feature deletion. What else? Anything on the outside or structure?
Subtly. The glass roof is still there, like the panel itself, but inside it's now covered by a fabric headliner. So you don't get that open sky feeling from underneath anymore.
Okay. So visually streamlined inside.
Right. And on the outside, the Model Y Standard gets headlights that look more like the Model 3 is likely a cost-saving, part-sharing thing. Both models stick with 18-inch wheels with the aero covers for efficiency.
So it adds up. Textile seats, manual controls, fewer speakers, no rear screen, fabric headliner, maybe some component sharing. That's how they found that 11–14%.
That seems to be the recipe, yes. Each cut contributes a bit.
So the deal for the buyer is, accept a car that feels less premium, potentially pay slightly more than you might have historically because the incentive's gone, but get that lower sticker price. That's the trade-off.
That's the core calculation you have to make.
But here's where it gets really interesting strategically. Despite cutting all these comfort features, things you touch and feel every day, they kept some very expensive tech, didn't they? What stayed in?
This is, I think, the most telling part. They kept hardware for the absolute latest sensor and computer suite.
Hardware 4. That's the brain needed for the advanced full self-driving features, right?
Yeah.
FSD supervised.
Exactly. And they also kept the front bumper camera, which is part of that HW4 system. They did not skimp on the hardware needed for future autonomous capabilities.
So they ditch power seats, but keep the super expensive cutting-edge autonomous hardware, even though FSD is an optional expensive add-on.
Precisely.
What does that signal about their business model?
Yeah.
That's a huge choice.
It signals everything, doesn't it? It strongly suggests the real money, the future profit, isn't necessarily in selling you the car itself, especially these base models.
It's in the software.
It's in the software and subscription services. They're making the physical car cheaper to get it out there, get market share, but ensuring it has the capability built in to generate recurring revenue later. Like through those FSD supervised subscriptions, everyone expects to become a bigger deal.
So the car is becoming more of a platform, a device on wheels, ready for software upgrades. Sacrifice the seat comfort today to ensure the potential for that high-margin FSD subscription tomorrow.
That's exactly how it looks. They're protecting the future revenue stream potential, even if it means making the base product feel a bit less luxurious right now. It puts the cuts in a whole new light.
It really does. Okay, let's shift gears slightly. What about the core EV specs? Did they cut corners on range or battery or charging to save money?
Thankfully, no. It seems the cuts were really focused on the cabin. On the performance side, both the Model 3 and Y Standard get a 69 kilowatt-hour battery pack.
And the range.
Still pretty solid. The EPA range is quoted as over 500 kilometers. The tweet mentioned 321 miles specifically.
Okay, 321 miles EPA is respectable for a base model. Shows the core engineering is still there. What about urging? Any changes?
Actually, yes, and it's an upgrade in a way. They offer charging speeds up to 225 kilowatts.
225 kilowatts. Is that faster than other base models globally?
It is. The sources noted this is actually faster than the current Model 3 and Y RWD variants you can get in, say, Australia. So if or when these standard models roll out elsewhere, they might bring slightly faster charging, which is a plus.
Interesting. Any word on towing for the Y?
Yeah, the Model Y Standard is rated for about 1,600 kilograms towing capacity. Pretty much the same as the existing RWD Model Y available in places like Australia.
So core EV performance range, battery, charging speed, even slightly better remains strong. The austerity was definitely focused inside. Now, availability, you mentioned US only for now.
Correct. As of the announcement, it's U.S. market only. Delivery is expected pretty soon, like in the next couple of weeks.
And for everyone else listening globally, any timeline for places like Europe or Australia getting these potentially?
The sources suggest it's likely, but not immediate. Production would need to start at the factories in Shanghai or Berlin. The general expectation seems to be maybe early next year, so sometime in 2026. These could start appearing in other key markets.
Okay, so likely part of a global strategy eventually, not just a reaction to the lost U.S. incentive.
Seems that way, yes. A new baseline offering.
All right, let's bring it all together then. We started asking if these new, cheaper Teslas are actually a better deal now that the big U.S. incentive is gone. What's the final verdict for our listener?
Well, it's definitely a mixed bag, isn't it? On one hand, Tesla delivered. They got cars with a Tesla badge under $40,000. That's a win for visibility, for maybe bringing in some new buyers who just needed that lower entry price on paper.
Yeah.
But you, the buyer, have to really weigh those trade-offs. You're getting fabric seats, manual controls, no rear screen. It feels like less car in some ways. And critically, because that incentive disappeared, your actual out-of-pocket cost might be higher than it was for the previous base model.
So more money for less luxury, potentially, even if the sticker looks tempting.
That's the bottom line. You really need to understand that difference between the advertised price drop and the real final costs now, post-incentive. It's crucial knowledge.
Absolutely. And it leads right back to that fascinating strategic choice they made.
Exactly. Think about it. They prioritized keeping the expensive hardware for the system for future self-driving.
While cutting costs on things like seat fabric and power motors.
Right. So if they're making the hardware cheaper to buy initially, but ensuring it's ready for expensive software add-ons later, like FSD supervised subscriptions, what does that tell you about where they see the future value?
It strongly suggests the profit isn't just in selling the car anymore. It's in selling the services, the software, the subscriptions after the sale. The car is the delivery mechanism for future revenue.
That shift is huge. So the provocative thought we'll leave you with is this. When you buy one of these, are you just buying a car anymore? Or are you actually buying into a platform ready for future software unlocks and subscriptions? Something to really chew on.
Definitely something to think about. Great insights today.
Always a pleasure. Thanks for tuning in.
We'll catch you on the next deep dive.